Stampin' friends, welcome to the Joy of Stamping with Rachel. I'm Rachael Coon, and it's our Wednesday's kit class. Today I'll be sharing with you the stamp set called Friends Are Like Seashells. Say that 5 times fast. And we're making 3 awesome cards. Let me go ahead and flip while we get ready, and then we'll show you what our cards are for the day. 1 second. All right, let me just make sure this is nice and sturdy. You guys can see everything just fine. Marjine's here. Welcome, Marjine. Glad you could join us. I am showing today this really awesome stamp set. It's called Friends Are Like Seashells, and also this seashell embossing folder. As you may know, on my Wednesdays kit classes, what I do is I show you how to make these cards, and then you have the option if you want to buy something from me within the next 2 days by Friday, $35 worth with the hostess code, then I will send you all the paper items you need to make today's cards. It's pretty fun and awesome, and it's a great deal because I use a lot of different things. So here is that stamp set. I'm using a couple of these shells, including the saying, "Happy birthday to my beautiful friend," and "Love you to the beach and back." There are other sayings though, so if you were to get this kit from me, you can switch up to use whatever you needed at that time. I'm doing 2 birthday cards because I always need more birthday. Let me show you something really cool about this set. Is that it has these awesome dies. Before we even get started, it's called the Seaside Seashell Dies. Whew, say that fast. All right, so they have these little pieces here for the sand dollars, the sea star. That's for the little outline of the greenery in there, that one too. And then you see this giant piece right here. This piece is awesome because it cuts it out all at once, and then it matches or coincides with the embossing folder, which Stampin' Up's never done this before. And I'll show you this in just a second, but these are some of the items I would suggest for you to get if you want to help to get that $35 total. If you were to get the stamp set and this folder alone, that would help you get to it. Or if you were to get the stamp set bundle, which is $54, you would totally get that $35 mark to get the kit for free, and you'll get a celebration item. So it's a great deal. I'm also using today in some of my cards the subtle embossing folder and the dies that are called tasteful labels. And then I always like to use assortment of trim. These are the main ones I'm using today, along with linen thread, of course, because that's my favorite. All right, let me go ahead and show you these cards and we'll get started. First, though, I have to show you this really pretty seashell. I think I'm dumping out sand. That's how fresh it is. My son found this just on Sunday, and it was just really pretty and very inspirational. As you can kind of see all these fun textures with it and even the colors. I'm just going to get it close enough and zoom in. There we go. Just super beautiful. And so this is my inspiration for some of our cards today to kind of catch that color scheme. If you look here, you can even see like little pink tips on the ends of it. Super fun seashell. I live about a mile away from the ocean here in San Pedro, California, and so we have seashell huntings all the time, and we find and collect them, which is one of our favorite things to do as a family. All right, let's go ahead and get started with this card here. I had a friend this week who challenged me. She said she wanted to see more cards made that had brighter colors. So this is a suite. So there's paper that goes along with it and some embellishments and everything. And they're more of a softer pastel color look to it, like soft pinks and light blues. And it's definitely pretty, but for some people it's not their taste, and honestly it's not my favorite color scheme either, the suite. And so it was fun that she gave me this challenge to go ahead and play with brighter, bolder colors. So I'm using Bermuda Bay, and this is the Mango Melody, and then we have this pop of black, which is really fun. Let me go ahead and set that aside, and we'll get the pieces that we need for this card. All of my measurements, of course, are always over on my blog after the video. I upload the video, and then I share it on my blog, and then I post the blog. So you guys can go and see over there measurements just in case I forget to tell them to you. But for this card, what we're using is a regular card base that measures at the 5 1/4 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. And let's go ahead and grab, this is our Mango Melody rectangle. I've also die cut, this stitch rectangle. And what you'll do is you can pick whatever stitch shape you want, or you can get the size that I use. And the measurements for this one is 3 1/4 by 1 7/8. And that'll help you get it so that way it's lined up just right like that, which is pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and stamp some items, but let me grab my foam mat real quick. And I'm just going to, this is what my foam mat looks like. It's pretty loved. Stampin' Up still sells these, but they won't come this loved. I used to use this size as a piercing mat, but now use this for a lot of my stamping. And I'm going to just slide it underneath my grid paper there, so you can't even see it, but it's there. I want to make sure you know it's there too. Let's go ahead and do our Mango Melody first for that big seashell. And I wish I knew the names of all of these. I'm sure there's different names. And maybe I'll have to just nickname them for the meanwhile. Go ahead and stamp that, ink that up really good. And then we're going to place it right here. So you can see that. And it doesn't matter because you can flip it over once we're done. There's that one. Ooh, super pretty. This stamp set even comes with a way for you to fill that. So if you wanted to have that outline one color and then fill that color in, it's kind of like this soft, like watercolor look to it, which is really awesome as well. But we won't do it for this card. We want to just leave that outline for us. I'm going to wipe that down because we will use that for another card later. Actually, for this card in just a second, I think. All right, we'll set that aside, and we are done with that ink. So we'll put that away as well for now. And let's go ahead and grab our 4 by 5 1/4 of Bermuda Bay. And we're going to go ahead and ink this up with all different kinds of seashells. We'll keep that there so you can still see it. My Bermuda Bay ink. And let's start always with the biggest seashell, which just happens to be this really cool, almost like a snail shell, how it keeps on going. I'm sure there's a word for it, and I can't say it without messing it up, so I won't even try. But if you know what that shell is called, definitely shout it out. Oh, Vivi's on here. Oh, she says thank you for all her cards I've been sending her. I love it. I love sending cards. It's my favorite things, making and sending them. All right, so right about, not quite center, but pretty close is where we're going to put that largest shell. And then we can go to our next large shell and fill in some space. So that's going to be this one right here. And we're going to do some that will be off of the actual cardstock though. So we're going to go like that. And kind of give some of that shape there. And maybe even a little bit right there. This one has a really cool end to it, like a cone shape, so I add that there. Already is looking really cool with these different shells. All right, so the next big one is this one here. You can kind of see that one. This one is a little bit smaller and has lots of great texture. And this one also matches with that that giant die that I showed you just a second ago. Ooh, let's add this one, but we're going to flip it over right there. Looking pretty awesome already. And let's give a little bit of that one right there. So I'm doing about 1 of the biggest one and then about 3 of the others. But there's no rhyme or reason to where and how many. Next I'm going to do the sea star or the starfish. There we go. And this one we're going to fill in some spaces. I'll put one right there and turn it and go that spot. And let's have a little bit of his legs. That's looking great. So we have 3 on that one. And next we'll grab a tiny seashell and we're just going to fill in some of that space. So we have one right there maybe. This one's one of my favorites. It's super detailed on this one. 2, and let's throw in one more right here. Oh, love it. Sorry, I dropped it, but we're safe. Don't worry. It didn't go anywhere and make too big of a mess. I know. It could have been dangerous. Oh, thanks, Marjean. She says she loves how I'm creating the background of this card. Yes, so a lot of times these images you can make your own really awesome paper with, and just by stamping them all over the place. And you make your own pretty paper, which is also known as our designer series paper, and that way you can choose any color that you want it to be in. Since I wanted that more bright Bermuda Bay, it made sense for me to stamp on there like that. All right, so the next step for this one is that we would take this and put it in our embossing folder, the subtles one, and I'd go this direction. You kind of see on the subtles that it has a up and down and a left to right. So depending on which way you want your embossing to go is how you will put your paper. I put it in there so it's like a perpendicular, I guess, to it. Makes that the eye shape. And then through the magic of video, I'm not going to run it through my die cutting machine because it shakes my whole table, is what this would look like. So I've already stamped this one and I ran it through so it has that extra pretty texture to it. Isn't that fun? Love that one. All right. So for the most part, we are almost done with this card. I did do this beforehand and I embossed with white embossing powder on our basic black, and I also did this out of the really cool sand dollar shape. So it kind of looks like a circle, but it has this little nook cut out, which makes it even more fun. And I love the saying for Valentine's Day right now, the love you to the beach and back. Oh, it's just perfect, perfect, perfect. This would be a great Valentine's Day card for a man or even for a woman. You know, very, very soft and gentle a way of saying I love you. All right, let's go ahead and glue these together. We'll use our liquid glue for these ones, for these layers. There we go. And then I'll just flip it over and line it up. I'm using liquid glue because I want to make sure that I line it up and can wiggle it just a little bit to fix it, because I am not perfect. And this is a glue for imperfect people. Give us some wiggle. All right, then let's go ahead and glue this one down as well. And because it has these bumps, I prefer to use the liquid glue on it so it doesn't catch on our double-sided adhesive, and also because it fills in the nooks and crannies a little bit better when it has this texture to it. All right, we'll flip it and smooth it out. And I really do love using the same card base as the same layer. That monochromatic scheme is one of my favorite things to do. You'll probably see me do it a lot. Let's grab some dimensionals for the back of this piece. I'll just put on a handful. Probably one more in the center there. Awesome. For this, I didn't save it, or I didn't prepare this, but there should be another Whisper White piece of paper for the inside of this one, because it is a little bit of darker card base. Make sure you always add, the basic white. That's a new color of our white, and I keep on forgetting. It's going to take them a long time for me to get used to that. All right, so this part right here, we have this awesome twine. Let me see if I can find where I placed it. I took it out carefully a second ago. Oh, there it is. It was on my lap. I found it. So I did about 11 inches of this, and what you're going to do is flip over your little sand dollar, love you to the beach and back piece, and we can either put a little bit of adhesive here, but for the most part, what's going to do your heavy work is going to be the dimensionals. Are going to help keep this in place. And what we're going to do is just take this and loop it. So it's make a fake bow. There's no knots in the middle. There's no actual bow here, almost like a figure 8. Can you kind of see that? And then have the 2 strings come in either end. And then we're going to flip this over so I can see, and I want to go kind of like that from side to side, and that looks pretty good. And I use that little adhesive just to catch it. so that I could place it on there. Then we're going to use the actual dimensionals to help us to secure it down and to attach it to the card. Okay, hopefully that's good enough. We'll flip it and put it on right about there. Oh my goodness, super cute. I love that dramatic color difference. We'll go ahead and start to fold it. Let me grab my bone folder right here and get our score line creased nicely. And there we go. 2 awesome cards using that love you to the beach and back saying, and some great texture. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's do this one here. This one has a lot of steps, but it's super fun and way cute. Let me get this one. We'll need our crumb cake ink and we'll still need our Bermuda Bay in a second as well. And let's get our pieces. So I have my linen thread. We have our crumb cake card base. This one's more of a classic card color. It reminds me a lot of like those beach photos of those perfect beach families that they take wearing their khakis and their white shirts and their white dresses. That's what this card reminds me of, like that crisp, clean beach look. Picture perfect. And it has soft colors, but not pastel, I would say, which makes it really fun and still match with the other card we just made. All right, let's go ahead and move this and let's sponge this up. We're going to use 2 different techniques for sponging on this today. First, let's go ahead and grab our Bermuda Bay ink again, and we're going to grab that fabulous brand new blending brush. It looks like this, and mine's been used, so it has color to it. They come white, they're super soft, and they have these tiny little bristles on them. And you can wash it clean when you're done. I'm just using this one for blue, and it will keep it my blue brush for all different shades because it will come off clean as well. So for this, though, what you're going to do is you're going to tap it on your ink, or you can rub it even. And then what I'm going to do is just go on a scratch piece of paper. I probably even use this one. There we go. And just tap off a little bit, just like that. And then we'll go through in circular motions and start coloring that basic way. Okay, tap off a little bit so it's not so harsh. You could always add more color, but it's really hard to take color away once you put it on. So we're just going to go super soft and add more as we need. Ooh, that's looking really pretty. I'll do one more maybe over here, a little dark corner. I love getting these stitched edges colored up as well because it shows up really nicely on here. All right, we'll call that good. And with the bottom half, we're going to use the good old-fashioned sponge. I'm using my crumb cake, which is one of my favorite go-to sponging colors, and just a regular sponge. This is our Stampin UP sponge, which is a circle. I've cut it in half, and I cut it in half again, so this is 1/4 of our sponge. And I like this size because it's easier for me to hold, and I can get more uses out of it. It's one of my favorite things about these sponges. And I'm just going to go ahead and ink it up like this. Just tap it on there. And this one, we're going to just go ahead and do more circular motions on this. This one's going to be a lot more softer. It might take us a little bit more time to blend. You could have the colors meet in the middle where the sand meets the sky, or you can kind of leave a white horizon. We just had a lot of mist here the other day, and it literally looked like we had heaven on top of the ocean because of the way the clouds were. And in the background, we had Catalina, the island, which is like this giant kind of looking mountains that pop out of the ocean that were just sitting on top of those clouds. And you could just barely see just the tops of them. It was amazing and a great day for sightseeing. But you can kind of see how I've left that center right there. You could fill that if you wanted or leave it. Totally up to you. I like to kind of just leave it there. All right, next we're going to do our soft suede ink. And we're going to stamp our happy birthday to my beautiful friend and make some sand. Little, I want to say it's sand or even pebbles. I'm not sure what to call it, but we'll do those too. So it looks like that, like these little speckles. We're going to ink it up, and we'll start here at the top corner, top middle corner, and we won't ink it again, and we'll just come down below it and do a couple like that. Same thing, start up high and come down low with some lighter colors, just like that. And that one is done. We don't need to do anything else to that one for those sand pebbles. All right, happy birthday to my beautiful friend, also inked up in the soft suede. And just get it nice to where you want to place it. This would be another good saying for this one would be the friends are like seashells and you collect them along the way. Would be perfect for this card as well. All right, we'll wipe that down. And we're going to keep out this soft suede for just a second as we go to our next step. So we'll set this aside, still see it so you can look at it. And our next step looks like this. So out of basic white, I've die cut that giant die that has all these different shells in it. You can kind of see. I only need to use these 3. So I'm going to stamp these on here. I'll show you how. And I'm using crumb cake. You can use whatever color you want, but you remember that seashell from earlier? Kind of has that crumb cake look to me. All right, so we're going to grab this one. It's a little bit larger than our smallest shell. And we'll ink that up. And we're going to put it right here, this bottom. Make sure it's nice and inked. And try to line it up as best as you can. Like that. Awesome. And then we're going to grab this shape of shell. And we'll ink that one up. And match it up over here. So this is kind of backwards. Usually I will stamp and then die cut. But this one has us die cutting first and then stamping later. And the last is this tiny little shell. And we'll turn it this way and ink it up. Awesome. All right. Let's go ahead and close that for a second. And let me show you the next step. We'd grab the embossing folder, the seashell embossing folder, and we're going to take this whole piece and put it back in there. I like to line it up. You can kind of see how these shells are right here. We're going to add texture right now to these shells. So we've already cut them out, and we're just going to line them up right here on the bottom. And it's hard just for you to see. So let me see if I can get it lined up for you so you can kind of see how it works. And then we will close that lid down on it. And we'd run it through our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine with the embossing sandwiching for it. Okay, so it'd go like that. And see how that matches perfectly? And how that would add texture to each one of these shells. Even as like a spine to that seaweed right there. It is amazing. It even has these great little like bubbles around it. I love this embossing folder. I also used it for our background piece instead of stamping for this card. Okay, so magically this will happen and it will come out like this. You see that? How we have those inked up on there and how they're embossed. So the next step for this is to fussy cut just a little bit, depending on how you want to. Make sure you can detach it from the giant one. And you don't always have to use the big piece of paper. You could just use paper that you would need, but I will save these shells for another project later. Don't you worry. But if you only needed, one of the shells, you would only need to find a piece of paper that would fit that size. Does that make sense? For this one, I used a 4x5 and a 1/4 to get this one to be the full size. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3. Oh, we need one more. He was almost cut out. Right there. And for this part, you could either fussy cut it a little bit more to get your edges even better. So I can go around here, and I can see where it's been embossed. And I'm going to go around that edge as well. So it doesn't cut it out perfectly, but it does emboss it to give that texture and gives you a great guide of how you want it to be cut. There's that one. And this one, I could either follow that line or keep it as is. Let's go a little bit on this bottom here. There we go. And a little bit there. Awesome. All right, and we're almost done with the fussy cutting. Don't worry. Takes just a little bit more time and love, but totally worth it. Our next step includes the sponge. So you want to grab that sponge again and just turn it to another side, or you can even use that same crumb cake side we used earlier. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab this side right here, and I'm going to use my soft suede. We'll ink it up, and we're going to grab a seashell and go along the edges, just like that. That's giving us more of that real look, kind of that vintage, dirty look almost to our seashells. These shells have gone from far places and have made their way here. And so we just want to age them and give them that realistic look. And I feel like doing these edges like that really adds to it. If you wanted to, you could even ink it and then go over again with the front of it to give it even that darker look there as well. So we'll do that on the edges a little bit more. And don't be afraid of getting your fingers dirty. When you use a sponge, 99% of the time you'll get inky fingers. But this is water-based ink, and so you're fine. You'll wash away. It'll be just fine. Don't worry. It's not forever. All right, now that we have our shells, we're almost done with this card. And look how amazing those look. Let me get them a little closer. You can kind of see that texture and that color and that ink. Look how real that looks. Isn't that super fun? My little shell again. Love it. So you can go as dark or as light as you want on those. Let's grab our piece back in that we sponged and blended on earlier. And we're just going to add some linen thread because we can and because I love linen thread. We're going to just take it and wrap it around it twice and either make a knot bow or a real bow on the end. And there's no measurement. You just kind of get the feel, eyeball it, see how much you think you need. And if you don't get enough, you can always cut more, or you can change your bow idea and just do a knot bow. This one I think I might have gave myself just enough. So we'll do a bow again. And if you wanted to, you can even pull the strings. I did it with this one, and fray your ends of your bow to kind of give that more, I don't know, what would you call that? Rustic look, beach look. Oh, that's fun. I like how big that bow is, actually. That'll be a fun one. Okay, these also need dimensionals on the back. And I'm almost out, so I need to cut the ends of this one. So I'll show you how to do that. Just take your paper snips and go along and cut off the outsides. I'm sure you've seen me do this before, or you do it yourself just to make them last longer. And these sticky parts are still good. They still have life, and sometimes they're actually the perfect size that I needed for projects. So let's go ahead and put some dimensionals on here. And we'll get ready to attach it in just a second. I still need to attach my, let's see, here's our crumb cake. And let me grab our embossed white, our basic white. Let's go ahead and put that on. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. Just in that white alone is just gorgeous. I think it'd be really fun also to watercolor this. That'll be my next trip. And my next card to make with these is just to watercolor on this after it's been embossed. Of course, I'll probably use either that shimmer white paper or some fluid watercoloring paper. All right, so we're going to stick this on there, our card base, and our liquid glue. And then we're going to attach our little happy birthday piece. And I like things to be crooked. You can have it go straight on there if you want. I like to intentionally make it look like it's not perfect. So that one, it's not perfect, it can get away with it. Perfect for me. I love it. It looks great. Let's add some dimensionals to the back of these shells that we just created. And I want to make sure that I have one on top and bottom of each shell, if possible, if they're big enough, because we're going to try to go over that line a little bit. Let's get one more for this guy. And we're going to start with this one on that far end and just kind of place it there. Then we're going to sneak this one underneath it, just like this, and layer it on there. Let's move our bow out. There we go. And our last little shell. Now for added fun, you could grab your Wink Stella. See if I have mine nearby. There it is. And you can even add a little bit of glitter to the inside of your shell if you want, maybe along one corner. However you want there to be some shine, you can add it to your card. All right, let's go ahead and use our bone folder on this one. And look at that. Oh, I love it. Look at all that beautiful sponging and blending and the detail of those shells. I love this card. All right, our last one. You ready? This one is all about the shimmer and glitter. I've added these opal rounds, which are part of the suite, and I'm using the mesh ribbon that carried over from the holiday catalog. This was supposed to be mostly for like Halloween type stuff, but it's such a cool ribbon that I'm so glad it carried over. All right, let me set it aside and we'll show you how to make this one. I did the same thing and I've just embossed that. Let's see if I even have it ready. Oh, you know what? We might be in trouble. We might have to use, I did not cut that one and prep it. I knew I forgot something. Let's go ahead and use this piece then for now. And we will just pretend like that's going to be embossed, right? We can pretend. We'll see how this one turns out. So what we would do is we would take this and we'd grab our mesh paper, our mesh ribbon, and we'll line it up like that. In the kit, however, I will send you an embossed one. Don't you worry. I know. I will make sure and double check that one. All right, so we're going to grab a little bit of tear tape, and we're going to put that on the back of our Bermuda Bay. And we'll remove that. You can also use just your seal right here as well. You just want something to catch that ribbon for you when we wrap it around. Okay, we'll take this mesh ribbon, make sure we have enough ends on both sides, and tuck it under, just like that. Pull it tight and tuck it under in that one as well. Awesome. Let's go ahead and put some glue on it, and we'll attach this to our card base, which I've changed the orientation of this one. So this one measures at 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at the 5 1/2. Just to have it open up just a little different. All right. For this one, I do have this label, and I've used that subtle embossing folder again, just to give that extra texture. Kind of see that there? And we're going to use dimensionals on the back of that to attach it. I'll do at least 4, maybe 5. Get that going. And we're going to put that right over that mesh ribbon. All right, just like so. And that helps holds it in place. Oh, a little crooked. Let's just, there we go. Lift and restick. There we go. That looks better. Kind of reminds me of a fishbowl. Can you kind of see that a little bit? Kind of silly, but it looks really like a fishbowl to me. Okay, so next we need to get out our Bermuda Bay ink again. And let's make sure this one got cleaned before we ink it. Perfect. And let's grab our label for this one, which is also from that Tasteful Labels dies, which is going to be one of my favorite labels dies to use. See if you can see that. So let me move this a little bit more so you can see better. Okay. We're just going to do happy birthday again because that was my favorite. And like I said, I always need more birthday cards. Always, always. Make sure I have enough ink on it. And I still have my foam mat underneath me. There we go. Looks great. This one I'm actually going to attach with liquid glue instead of popping it up. But if you want to use dimensionals for this part, you really could. I just don't want it to be too high up there. And just kind of center that on top of that label. I did make this really cute little, this is a Coastal Cabana ribbon from the Playing with Patterns combo pack ribbon, and I love it because it's light enough. It's a little bit lighter than the Brumeda Bay, but it matches it really well. Let me grab our glue dots for it. Right there. And we'll stick it and just add it kind of to that corner of the label. Press it down. Cute. You can kind of see how it's making that shimmer look now. And lastly, we have these amazing embellishments called the opal rounds. And you can already see how they just have like glitter flecks throughout them that match beautifully with this Bermuda Bay. So let's grab those out and just add about 3 of them. These ones can either look like bubbles or a pearl from one of the seashells. Okay, I'll just kind of put them staggered like that. And one more down here. Oh my goodness. So this is kind of showing you how different the card can look without it being embossed. Super fun. A little bit different. I don't know. I kind of like them both, but I really do like that texture of that one. So don't worry, you will get that one. But it shows you different stamping versus embossing. All right, you guys, we have those cards there. These fun, soft, happy birthday ones with our seashells. And, of course, the love you to the beach and back. I hope you guys had a great time watching and learning how to make these cards today. Hope you have a wonderful week. And if you live close enough, make sure you visit a beach. If not, go and take photos or look at photos of someone else's and enjoy how beautiful beaches can be. I hope you guys have a great week. Happy stamping, everyone. Goodbye.